can forget the Phoenix Lights? So long ago, but still talked about on the anniversary every year. There was a man once in northern Arizona who claimed that he not only saw a sight in the skies, an alien craft in a remote part of the state, but that he actually interacted with those beings. But then there is this, and we have multiple pictures that sure have people talking from over the weekend, what appeared to be a beam of light shining so brightly it prompted sightings from Tucson to Phoenix to Flagstaff, but to other states as well. So the question is there an answer as to what it was? We went digging for answers, and we're going to get into that coming up here in just the next couple of minutes on Fox 10 Talk. So good morning, everybody. I'm Ron Hoon. We're glad you're starting your 10 o'clock hour with us. Be sure to join the conversation in the YouTube chat box. We appreciate our growing number of viewers from all over the world. First, before we get into that story, we just want to update you what is going on our valley freeways, because time and again we see these devastating early morning crashes so bad they shut down all the lanes that thousands of people rely on to get to work. And it's happened again this morning. It was about 1:30 in the morning. 2 cars and a semi-truck were all headed eastbound on the I-10 freeway. Always the busiest of all of our metro freeways in the morning as people head into the downtown part of Phoenix from out in the West Valley, whether it's West Phoenix or out there in Goodyear or Tolleson, Buckeye, some of our West Valley communities. But then what happened next is still not clear. But you can see the debris all around. So you couldn't pick a worse spot. Look at the backups. Just unbelievable. And you couldn't pick a worse spot in the entire metro area of 5 million people than the I-10 freeway right as you're approaching the I-17. So what happened next, we're still trying to determine. But what appears to be a little bit different from some of these other deadly accidents we've been seeing is all the evidence markers that were scattered across the various lanes of the freeway. It's still not clear at this point what detectives were marking, but we do know this. Ambulances rushed to the scene. 2 people were hospitalized, but within hours, police announced that one of them had died. There was also that box truck that was involved. You can see it with its flashers on in the distance. And again, 1:30 in the morning, they got out there and were doing the investigative work. But by 5 a.m., the freeway was backed up for miles and miles. And even when they finally got it cleared between 7 and 8 o'clock this morning, the residual effects were really something that folks were having to deal with. So it's one of those stories, once again, where we go on the air at 4:30 on TV, on Fox 10 TV, and try to share with you exactly what's going on. But let's also talk now about the story that is generating so much discussion, the mysterious beam of light that look at that, would you, that had Arizonans across the state wondering what was going on. So we're told there were also sightings as far away, get this, as Montana, Colorado, New Mexico. So here's what we decided to do. We said, we're going to check in with the great folks at the Lowell Observatory about the mysterious light, and they have a theory they have already kind of developed regarding all of this that may have to do, believe it or not, with a Chinese spacecraft. Here's more of what they said.
Either a re-entry or some sort of a burn to change the orbit of the rocket after it was initially launched sounds completely reasonable. And it explains pretty much everything that everyone saw, that people could see it all over the West as well as all over Arizona. And the implication was that it was very high altitude in order for people to see it over a large area like that.
So something happening out there in space, and quite likely they do say that the kind of rocket fuel that they use is a little bit of a different mixture than maybe what we're used to when we see contrails. It's called methalox, and we're told that it's a new type of rocket fuel, which may be why it gave off such a different view. And oh, by the way, at the very same time, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Syleste joins. Good morning, Syleste.
Good morning.
Doing great. They at the very same time, they also were showing off the Aurora Borealis, so there was a lot going on.
Well, my headset right now sounds like aliens are speaking to me.
Oh, are you hearing the echoes? Yeah. Oh, great.
So I'm going to hang right here with all of you, but good to be here, Ron.
Glad you're here
Happy
too.
Monday.
Guess who else is joining us right now, Syleste? Boy, after the weather got so wicked this last weekend, we decided to check in with one of our great Fox reporters. You recognize her, everybody. It's Caroline Shively. Caroline, good morning. Would you tell us where you are and what you've been seeing since you arrived there early today?
You got it, Ron and Syleste. We are in St. Louis. It has been absolutely devastated by this EF3 tornado that ripped through here early in the weekend. I'm going to step out and we're going to take you on a little tour. You see that blue tarp back there? That is the hottest ticket in town. People have been driving down the streets saying, where can I get one of those tarps? I need to cover my house because we're supposed to have some pretty severe thunderstorms later today. My photographer Mike is going to keep on panning while we talk to the left. Take a look at these houses. These are occupied. These aren't abandoned. These were houses that people were living in. You can see my photographer described it. It's like their lives fell out the windows. This EF3 tornado just so strong. Plenty of historical buildings here, 100-year-old plus buildings that simply could not take this, Ron.
Oh, it's just unbelievable. Caroline, I actually intended to go to the maps and check how far away you are from some of the other areas that were so hard hit. But I believe when you add up all this whole string of tornadic activity over the weekend, there were other tornadoes that were touching down even hundreds of miles away from where you were. Sounds like one of the worst weekends we've experienced in our country in a long time.
You're absolutely right. It was a trail of these tornadoes that popped up. Here in St. Louis, they thought it was going to be bad thunderstorms, but they didn't actually anticipate to have this tornado hit on the ground right in the middle of the city. Others, we had talked about Kentucky. That was another trail of tornadoes, some terrible devastation there. The latest numbers coming out of Kentucky, I believe, are 19 dead. Here in the city of St. Louis, it's 5. There were also 2 other deaths in greater Missouri area. It's simply devastating. What we've been watching on this street, this is actually progress, if you can believe it or not. They've had bobcats and heavy equipment going up this street. They finally got all of the trees, all of the debris off the road, because what happens now is those bucket trucks can get back out. We are without electricity on blocks and blocks of St. Louis. Even at this hour, we're not sure when they'll be able to get it back going.
Well, you know, when we take a look at these pictures, can you give us, St. Louis is one of the last great American cities that I have not yet been to, and I really want to go and explore. Is this quite a ways away from the kind of the famous downtown area where the Cardinals play their baseball games and where we see the world famous St. Louis Arch? Give us kind of the lay of that, would you?
You got it. It's about 15 minutes, maybe 15, 16 minutes drive from here within the devastation, keeping in mind a lot of those stoplights are out. So not very far at all. We're on the northern part of the city. This is one of the neighborhoods, but we're in the city proper. The downtown area by the arch didn't get hit nearly as hard. I'm going to do something to my photographer. I'm going to spin around. He's not going to be happy with this one. Take a look behind us, though, what they're doing over here. This is one of the other things. This is they're boring holes in. They're trying to get these new poles up. We've seen cell phone trucks coming through. They're trying to boost the signal because as people are trying to call and say, I'm okay, or I need help, or get set up with the services, they can't get through. We've had definite cell phone drops throughout the day.
And what is the, Caroline, the weather like when you look like later on into today and in the rest of the week? What can we expect in terms of the weather now?
It doesn't look good, Celeste. This morning, we thought we were going to get some heavy rain, and that's why everyone wanted those big blue tarps. It turned out to be just sprinkles. We had more sprinkles a little bit throughout the morning. Tonight is when we are thinking those thunderstorms move in, and you've got to think of all the precariously placed bricks. Things are just ready to topple over. You get some strong straight line winds, some more rain, and that could be even more devastating for the city. You know, the mayor did an estimate. She thinks at least in the city proper alone, more than $1 billion worth of damage has already been done.
That is incredible.
Yes. You know, because the greater loss of life was out there in Kentucky.
Right.
But when you just listen to that number that Caroline just shared with us, it really is shocking. All right, I know we've got to wrap up with you. Of the folks you've had a chance to hear from or talk to, what's the overall kind of mood of the city or the spirit of St. Louisans?
We spoke with one woman who was trapped in her house. She wept. Her house had been in her family for 73 years. She heard the sounds coming. She felt her ears popping with the pressure change. She ran down the stairs trying to get to her basement, but she got trapped. Her roof collapsed. She had to scream for help. A police officer happened to be driving by with some volunteers. They grabbed her by the arms and they hoisted her out of there. And I said, how are you going to deal with this? What are you going to do? And she said, every person who's come by has offered to help, to try and help me put the roof back on, to help me get my life back together. That's how we do it in St. Louis, and that's what we're going to do this time.
Wow.
Oh, wow. What a great way to wrap up your report. Caroline, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, Celeste, you know, when you hear stories like that, it just kind of, once again, gives you that feeling like no matter who gets hit the hardest, there are always going to be neighbors, you know, first responders, then the Red Cross comes in. It's impressive.
And I think a sense of community that kind of comes together and you start to help each other as neighbors, and maybe your kids go to school together, but you've never met one another, and you just come in to help. Yeah,
there are some heartbreaking stories that we're going to learn a lot more as the day goes on. Anyway, we do want to thank everybody for spending an hour with us here, 10 to 11 o'clock on Fox 10 Extra, or of course on our YouTube channel. But as we approach our first break, Celeste, are you ready for a mystery camp?
I've been waiting for this all weekend, actually.
I bet you have. Oh, look at this. Wouldn't you like to buy one of those? If you could get those condos and then hop onto the boats.
Yeah, no kidding.
Where do you think it is? We're back in 2 minutes. And we're back. We've been looking at your guesses, and wherever it is, wouldn't that just be the nicest start to the day?
That would be so nice. First thing in the morning, you step out on that patio of your condo. And you know what, Ron? This is such a great location.
Yes.
Maybe you VRBO it. It's a Verbo, half of the year when you're, when you go to see mom or visit the family.
Yeah, or Airbnb it and get that local chef to come out and cook your burgers.
That's right. You mean the one we had on the air?
Jordan
Adams.
Oh, no, you missed this story on Friday.
Okay.
So Airbnb now is going to offer a new feature where once you book the house, at least if they're offering this option, you can book a local chef to come out to your Airbnb and cook your meals.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Do they have to be like a celebrity chef? Like, can I sign up to do it in Arizona?
No. Greasy spoon, better. Hole in the wall, even better.
Right. Mom who cooks for her kids in the afternoon, even better.
Yes. All right. So what do you see in for guesses, Celeste?
For guesses, let's see if you guys have guessed. So we have Mississippi by Jens Wall.
Yep.
Louis Gonzalez says Florida. Let's see. Salem, Mr. Paul Valine. So is that Salem, Oregon?
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, sure.
Nice green with some water. Frankie D said Oregon.
Okay.
So we've got some Oregons, several Oregons.
I don't know what's a bigger deal. The fact that we have those guesses coming in or that we have one of our new viewers is Tiago
Marosillo.
Where's he watching from,
From
Celeste?
Brazil.
Okay, we love our Brazilian viewers here who joined us hopefully for the first time, but for every coming day, that's for sure. I'm trying to think what time it would be in Brazil right now.
Let's see.
I think it's a little... Oh, go
what
ahead,
time
Celeste.
is it in Brazil
Celeste
right now?
is talking to one of the AI apps. Here comes the answer. Ready?
2:17 p.m.
Oh, all right.
So it's only 4 hours.
4 hours difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm going to... Did you decide? What are you going to go with?
Can I take one more look at it, Ron,
Yeah,
before I make that
you
final guess,
betcha.
if you don't mind, my friend?
Yeah.
I'm going to go Missouri.
All right. I'm going to go Arkansas. I think
Okay.
it's down in that Ozark area.
I was thinking the Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah. Okay. And here comes the answer.
Osage Beach? Is that
okay.
Is that how you say it?
It doesn't matter, Celeste. What matters is that M and that O at the end of the sentence. You're
Missouri.
correct.
Yes, that rarely happens. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's for
I'm gonna gloat
Okay.
for a few moments.
Hey, let's also talk about this story that came in from over the weekend. Just a shocking level of violence that I think had a lot of people really shaking their head. There's a Valley mom who's facing aggravated assault charges, accused of shooting her own son after apparently getting upset about his video games that he was playing. Now, I think we've got some pictures here. The lady, by the way, this is from our photojournalist who were out there on scene. It's about Higley and Main Street out in Mesa, which is the second largest city here in the Metro Phoenix area. Here's the lady's mugshot. 72 years old. She actually called police after the shooting and said, "I just shot my 38-year-old son." She was upset about how loud the whole situation was because he was playing video games. Apparently, he had left for a walk, and when he came back to the house, she tried to stop him from re-entering the house, but apparently she had the gun on her right then because she said that he lunged at her, so she opened fire. Never the way to try to resolve any kind of a dispute like that. And so now, just think about the heartbreak in that family. We don't know how bad off he is, but he was hit right by the gunfire right in the stomach. And now you've got the mom she's in her 70s. Depending on the criminal charges here, she could spend the rest of her life if she were to be found guilty. And we just hope and pray that the son who was shot survives the whole situation. But just a really kind of a scary deal.
That is pretty scary. All over, yelling at each other and video games.
Right. Okay, so that's one of the big stories here in the Valley. One of the stories nationally, and I think they're still trying to figure out exactly how it could happen.
Right.
Was what happened at the Brooklyn Bridge this weekend. If you haven't seen this video, it's pretty stunning, and you can actually hear the people who are taking the video, as they're trying to figure out what exactly was going on. Ready? Here we go.
I literally thought in my head, I'm like, it feels like I'm in a movie right now. Like, I didn't know what to think. I was like, is this a movie? Like, it was honestly like crazy. Like I wasn't like traumatized or anything, at least me personally, but it was definitely a moment. There's a lot of people scared.
Okay, so here it is. There's the Brooklyn Bridge, and there's the mast.
Oh my goodness.
What is that? So I think you have maybe the foremast, and then, the main one, the tallest one, and they just crash into the bridge. And, they do this. This is part of a goodwill tour. People are like, so the Mexican Navy, what were they doing with their ship in New York Harbor? And they go on these world tours as a way to, kind of build camaraderie with the men and women in their Navy. And eventually this ship was supposed to, after it had been in New York, was supposed to go to Iceland as part of this world tour. But now, there are some reports this morning, and sometimes over the weekend we have the video, but we have to dig for a little while to try to come up with the answers as to what was going on.
Ron, in the background of that video was screaming, and they're like, what is happening?
Yeah.
It's pretty frightening.
Yeah. Well, people were said to be hanging onto the mast, some of the guys up there on this ship, for as much as 15 minutes. Hoping not to have to let go. So 2 sailors killed, 19 others injured, and now they're investigating whether or not the whole thing was a complete loss of power.
And you'd have to think, like, in a situation where you have a complete loss of power, is there some other emergency protocol that should be taken in that situation? I mean, if you lose all power, is there a way? Do you have like oars? Can you break out the oars and like try to brake or something?
Or a rudder that you could try to move around. Who knows? But we all remember what happened out there near Baltimore. They said it was a loss of power on that big cargo ship. And of course it knocked that bridge completely out.
Or maybe have a generator nearby.
There was a story that got our attention earlier today where people are having different plans for their vacations this summer. A lot more road trips and a lot fewer trips in the air.
That's
Why not? Some of these stories, it's always stressful. You get crammed in the airplane, your knees are up against the guy in front of you. And then we keep hearing about some of these air traffic control situations.
Yes.
And a lot of people are saying, I think I'm just going to take it a little bit easier this time around. And so, Celeste, I thought we could chat just a little bit about road trips.
Let's do it.
And chat with our audience about road trips. If they're flying more, if they're driving more, do they have like good memories from road trips?
Yeah, or maybe like you have road trip tips.
Oh, how about that?
Like we'll take road trips with our dogs.
Yeah. For example, do you go from one Buc-ee's to the next Buc-ee? Is that how you
Potentially.
Okay.
Potentially.
So I went on a road trip this last year, Celeste, to North Dakota. It was my 50th state. And I just, this.
Yes.
I'm so hyped up about North Dakota, and it's been like 6 months. I want to go back again.
Well, and you love a good road trip.
I do.
You love your books on audio.
And I love my Fargo.
You love your Fargo.
Get me back to Fargo.
And why not? Because you made it there too.
Right. But you go to the Dakotas. And again, you guys can join the chat and tell us kind of what your favorites are in terms of places that you have been in the past. But, let me just see.
Because here's the thing.
So if you're in North Dakota, don't forget South Dakota.
Yes.
Because look, Celeste, look what's in South Dakota.
Oh.
Mount Rushmore.
That's right. Are you thinking you're the next face up there on Mount? It's like you're aligning your face along.
I just want to be on the newscasters Mount Rushmore.
Oh, that's already done, Ron.
Be.
And by the way, I think Jeff in the chat said Ron's tie is fire.
Oh, really? Okay, now Celeste, we have more graphics, but I can't seem to find them right now. Let me see. Is this it? Is this? No. We know what those are. Okay. Well, anyway, I know you had sent us some pictures too. Fond memories of road trips?
Yes, we had. We've taken many road trips.
Yeah.
As all of you know, if you're in Arizona, we have, of course, our friend in Brazil this morning. Maybe there's like some fun road trips in Brazil.
Tiago.
Maybe
you go from Brasilia to Rio. Or from...
Technically, you could drive from Arizona to Brazil. I mean, it'd be a long road trip.
Yes.
You know, let's ask and see.
Oh, hold
What's
on,
the
by
road
the way.
trip from?
Yeah, be sure to ask. There you go. Celeste, look at
So
that.
this is our road trip
Yeah.
with our 3 kids in the back. That's my hubby there, and with snacks in the Tupperware. And this is when we took Gracie and Jack. Jack is the brown and the white dog in the very back with Kiana.
I figured.
And Gracie's up front. And we went camping up in Oak Creek Canyon, just north of Sedona.
Yeah.
And it's always an adventure when you have dogs on the camping trip.
Right?
Because they'll meet other dogs at the campground and have lots of fun. But we've taken lots of road trips, whether or not it's through Arizona, which we have great road trips. This isn't one that we took up to Utah.
Okay.
We're on our way up to Park City, stopped at Bryce Canyon, Zion, and that's our youngest, Kalina, having a conversation with her dad. And she's like, okay, Dad, listen.
Yeah.
Poppy, listen, this is what I'm trying to tell you.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
look at
and
that.
she's kind of been a fireball since birth.
Well, I hope she's saying, I told you, Dad, you should have taken that last right. Now, who knows where we are?
I told you I had to go potty. I told you to stop at the last stop. You didn't do it. Now I want some snacks and beef jerky too.
Anybody sharing in terms of our comments? here
Let's see.
yet?
Oh, Patricia says definitely stop for potty breaks.
Right.
Sherry Wolf, this is a good one, Sherry. This is a really good one. She
Okay.
says, make time to stop and stretch. My kids forgot to do this, tried to push it and drive straight through. I believe it says her son-in-law got DVTs in his legs.
Oh, gosh.
So he had to get up and move. Not even 50.
Deep vein thrombosis.
Yes,
right?
yeah. So he's not even 50, she said.
Well, we'll keep checking your comments, but we would also love to get your comments. We have a break we're up against here. Here's our poll question. Grab that QR code if you would. A new poll out today shows that people trust President Trump more than the U.S. Congress. I think that was amongst Republicans. But we want all voters, Republicans, Democrats, Independents. Who do you trust more? The president, the Congress, or we got 15% saying neither. We'd be a lot better off if Kamala was president. And then 10% say, I trust no politicians. So, join the conversation. I think what we should do coming up in a few minutes after the break is check in with the Dave Cam.
Let's do it.
We want to see what do we have? Oh, there he
there
is.
he
They're
is.
smiling, Dave. All right, we're back with all that. But first, our next break.
Now, Ron, here is our second mystery cam. Where do you think this is?
I have no idea. Somewhere on the East Coast, probably. Boy, I'll tell you what, it's full blossom there. All the trees and the bushes and everything else.
And the winds are moving. Wow, what beautiful pillars.
Hey, here's what we do know. The phone call is either still going on or has happened just in the last couple of hours. It was about 8 o'clock this morning, Valley time, Arizona time, that we got word that President Trump was on the line with Vladimir Putin. You know, I mean, it was, 2 weeks ago that he sent out that tweet.
Yes.
And said, Vladimir, stop, all caps. And yet, we've continued to see a high level of violence rained down from above on cities in Ukraine, especially Kyiv, and just most recently in the last couple days.
It's difficult when you are, I mean, think about, Ron, just trying to be a conflict manager or mend the fences on the playground between a couple of kids. I mean, these are grown adults with, power and ego and all the rest involved, in these leaders of these big global superpowers, trying to. How would you do it, Ron? How would you make amends with Putin?
Oh my gosh! I mean, you got to figure out which buttons to push, and I think it's proving a lot harder than what the president thought. Also, speaking of the White House. Here's our Doug Luzada. We're going to check in with him after these reports came out this weekend of a serious case of cancer in the former president. Ready? Here we go with that.
Ron, good morning. The Biden family has had more than its share of experience with cancer. This form of prostate cancer is treatable, but it has already spread, and doctors say it is serious.
Folks, it's fair to say one of the most devastating words anyone can hear, and it's not hyperbole, is cancer.
That was President Joe Biden just last year, touting what he has called his Cancer Moonshot Initiative. And the devastating news that he described regarding cancer was delivered to him just before the weekend. His office yesterday released this statement. On Friday, he, the president, was diagnosed with prostate cancer, characterized by a Gleason score of 9, grade group 5, with metastasis to the bone.
Over 80% of men over the age of 80 have some prostate cancer cells in their bodies.
Fox's Dr. Mark Siegel says it is a very common form of cancer, but in Biden's case, it is aggressive and it has spread.
If it's this far advanced, meaning Gleason 9 metastasized to the bone, the 5-year survival rate is somewhere between 30 and 40%.
Biden last had an official medical exam that we know of back in February of last year, which noted no major issues. The Biden family has already been deeply touched by cancer. The president's son, Beau, died from cancer in 2015. And through Biden's term, there would be questions about his physical and cognitive health. New books out this year describe Democratic concerns at the time and alleged efforts to cover up his decline. President Trump, who has long questioned Biden's abilities, issued a statement on social media late yesterday. Melania and I are saddened to hear about Joe Biden's recent medical diagnosis. We extend our warmest and best wishes to Jill and the family, and we wish Joe a fast and successful recovery. And just about 40 minutes ago or so, the former president, President Biden, posted on X, cancer touches us all, like so many of you. Jill and I have learned that we are strongest in the broken places. Ron.
Wow. Well, it was interesting. I read over the weekend, New York Times had a piece where they're quoting a cancer specialist at my alma mater, as a matter of fact, University of Washington. He said they've made such progress that instead of months, now you're talking years after diagnosis, even that has spread. He said it could be 5 or 7, even 10 years that men can live with this form of prostate cancer, even if it has gone to the bone.
That's right. If caught early, the prognosis is excellent. This was unfortunately not caught early, but even so, there are a number of treatment options. What the president's office is saying is that he and his family are considering what options to pursue here.
Yes. What we could do kind of as a public service here on our streaming show is check in with a great doctor right here in the Valley, Dr. Gil Brito with Honor Health. And Doctor, I think that this probably raises plenty of questions on the part of an awful lot of men. What should be the main takeaways, would you say, when it comes to A, this kind of a diagnosis, and B, what steps you can actually take to try to prevent it?
Well, one, prostate is one of the most common cancers in men. And fortunately, if caught early, is highly curable. But at times, they could behave differently and be more aggressive. And as in this example of prior President Biden, typically at age 80, you're not really looking for prostate cancers because most people are living with it. But there are times where it becomes more aggressive. And one thing that's important is people still need exams. It sounds like his was found because of a change in urination, and an exam showed a new nodule. Then they went on to a biopsy. So it's important to keep getting examined even as you get older.
So what are some of the, doctor, some of the symptoms that men should be on the lookout for? And here's another question. As a wife, and, I have uncles and grandparents and things like that, how do we encourage them to go to the doctor and maybe get checked out?
Well, important thing, if you have a family history of prostate cancer, it's real important to do a PSA, which is the blood test, a very simple test, but you also need a prostate exam. And that's something that's changed. A lot of the primary care doctors, some of their studies suggest that you don't really need an exam. And we'd find as much as 30% of patients with normal PSA and an abnormal exam. So if there's a family history, you should start younger. Anytime there's a change in urination, which is common with men as they get older, it needs an evaluation. And the first thing we want to do is be sure it's not related to prostate cancer, because ideally you want to diagnose that before there's symptoms.
So let's say your PSA levels are normal. Should you still go in for that prostate exam?
Yes, that's the important lesson to learn from here, because there are enough patients who have a normal PSA, normal symptoms, but an abnormal exam.
Okay.
And then, Doctor, I was fascinated by this piece in the New York Times. They quote this doctor from the University of Washington who says what used to be months now can be years. I mean, he specifically in that article said we could be talking about 5-year survivability, 7 years, maybe even longer. What's behind all these strides that have been made that actually should give patients, if they get that diagnosis, maybe a little more hope?
Well, it's amazing. That is what's improved in prostate cancer in the recent years. We're good about early detection, treatment for early disease, but we weren't good if it already had metastasized. It was always 100% mortality rate. Now there's been new medications, adjustments in what we call androgen deprivation therapy, immunotherapy, a lot of new things that are making this condition, instead of lethal, become more of a chronic condition. And that's the big advancement. It's made a big difference.
That's Dr. Gil Brito. Doctor, we really appreciate your time today. Yeah. He's with Honor Health, and a lot of good perspective from him,
Yes,
Celeste.
Absolutely, Doctor. Thank you.
Okay, let's update everybody. Yep, thanks again, Doc. Let's update everybody. Here's how our poll question is looking this morning. Who do you trust the most? Or are you in that 10% I trust no politicians?
Oh, I thought you were talking about we trust our mom or our dad, or I trust Ron Hoon.
Thank you, Celeste. Guess who else I trust? Here he is on the Dave Cam, everybody.
Big D.
The great thing about what Dave does is whether you vote in our QR code or on YouTube, Dave goes through a lot of these comments on YouTube and gets a chance to kind of interact with you guys. Dave, what are you seeing for feedback? Oh, hang on. Got to get that microphone up here. There we go.
Up.
Testing.
Very good.
Testing. It's a streaming show.
Testing. Are we coming through?
We're not that
testing.
professional. Okay, go ahead. Anyway.
We have the mic?
Yeah,
all right,
we got
we're good. So we've got a comment from Martin Block. He says Kamala Harris would have made a better president. I don't trust Trump as a result of the decisions he's made in his short time in office. Ocean Girl 505 says it will take time, but President Trump is fixing our problems. Hello from Marianne in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. And Sigourney Bryson 9526 says you basically need to place trust in them all, the president and Congress. They were all voted in by we the people to be in those leadership roles. It takes bipartisan leadership in order to run smoothly.
Dave,
thanks for voting and thanks for
Yeah.
commenting, guys.
Who was that? I mean,
That's
actually.
a very. I wonder if they should run for office.
I mean, we're so split as a country. Here's a guy with, let's give him a little benefit of the doubt. Who was that?
That last one, Dave. Who was it?
Oh, that last one. That was Sigourney
Weaver.
Just another one of our many Fox
Sigourney Bryson.
Oh, that's great.
Very wise. You hear people like after a very contentious political election.
Right.
You hear some people in the middle, or some people try to tame the waters. They're like, we have to trust the office.
Yeah.
Because, if you voted, you can't complain, obviously, if you don't vote. But if you voted, you're like, okay, well, I did my part.
Is that like a rule that you can't complain after you vote, Celeste?
Well, I don't think it's a rule. I think you just have to be ready for the consequences.
Okay. Anyway, Dave, we always appreciate it. And I know the fan club goes nuts when we have the Dave cam on there. So keep voting and keep your comments coming in. So that's what's going on with the president. What's going on with the vice president? Celeste, we have these pictures, pretty cool images coming in this morning from the Vatican, actually posted on the vice president's Instagram page. It was interesting because he had just been there in literally the final day of life for the previous pope, and he and Usha, J.D. Vance, the vice president, and the second lady were there for the inaugural ceremony for the pontiff, and I just thought, and there's the kind of the meet and greet.
Yeah, and the first American pope.
Yes.
And of course Vance and Marco Rubio, they are both Catholic as well. So
yeah,
pretty special for them to make the trip over.
I don't know what
do you think he asked them to
there?
pray? To pray?
Yeah.
Can you pray for us?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he's devoutly Catholic, a convert to the church. And so those pictures are actually pretty cool. And we'll see how it all plays out in the coming months. But, maybe a little bit of bridge building going on. And by the way, the Swiss Guard.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, really cool.
So they have been, that was one of the big things, why the Swiss Guard?
Yeah.
When the pontiff, was being chosen.
Yeah.
It goes back, many, many centuries. Back when one of the popes said, I want the best guard and army in the whole world.
Right.
And he chose the Swiss Army.
Don't mess with the Swiss. How many times have we said that on our streaming show?
And do they carry the Swiss Army knife?
They'd be wise to, that's for sure. Okay, so already time for another break, but we got a treat coming up for you right after this break. One of our great producers here in the building, who you may not have seen before.
Very hit man.
Got to do a super cool event.
Yes,
we'll be back. 2 minutes. think you can probably tell where that picture's from. I would love to know where in London they actually put that camera. I'm assuming they checked probably with royalty and put it right up on Buckingham Palace to get that kind of view, Celeste, but I can't confirm. I cannot
Oh my
confirm.
goodness, it's so beautiful. And it's perfectly situated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just even like there's enough room at the top of that really skinny triangle thing.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's called the Shard. It's supposed to look like a gigantic shard of glass.
You know that big triangle thing and then
Yeah.
the right back of the circle thing?
Celeste, I've warned you before. Don't get too technical here on the stream. Okay, what kind of comments are you looking at here, Celeste?
We were talking about trusting in politics and government. And
Yeah.
I said, who do you trust? I trust Ron Hoon, my mom, and my hubby.
Who said that?
I did.
Oh, thank you.
I said that.
Thank you
I
very
said
much,
I trust Ron Hoon.
Celeste. Okay.
And then we had a couple of comments here about who people actually trust.
Oh,
Jeff said he trusts Ron Hoon.
thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff said he trusts Ron Hoon
Yep.
and Bruce Springsteen,
Hey, how about that?
the boss.
2 for 2.
There you go.
Great story out there today that the boss is coming out with a country album.
Oh wow!
Isn't
So
that
he's following.
kinda cool?
He's following Beyonce.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Jeff,
They're all jumping on
welcome,
the country
buddy.
train. Hi.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yes.
Are you going to go country next?
No.
All right. Let me.
Not that I don't love country.
Let me
Lean
give you
on
a,
in.
give me a one.
I gotta come in here a little
There we
closer
Yeah,
for you.
lean
Okay.
in like
Because I can
Cheryl-
speak
like
up.
Sheryl Sandberg.
And-
Is
Right.
there any-
Yes.
Lean
Okay,
in.
ladies and gentlemen,
to the
we
party.
introduce to you Jeff Hillerman. One of our most popular hours on TV is 7 to 8 o'clock.
Yes, it is.
And Jeff is really the genius behind that hour. A lot of people like to think maybe it's you, Celeste,
What? No.
or Ty.
No.
Oh, no.
It's the power behind it.
But Jeff had a post that was so cool that I said, you got to come on and talk to us about it a little bit because, ladies and gentlemen, Jeff's got more personality than the two of us, Celeste, combined. Look at him there. That's
Okay.
you in the announcer's booth. And Jeff, what's this all about? What's happening?
Inside the press box at Salt River Fields at Talking Stick. So in Salt River Fields, I've been fortunate enough I do a bunch of PA announcing for the school district I used to work. Is this one not working?
I don't know. I can't hear
Is
you.
this working? Yeah.
Oh, the mic's working.
Oh, you're good.
Okay.
Grabbing our
I was doing a lot of PA announcing while teaching, and so all these middle school games, high school games, led me to meet some great people who offered me a baseball game for
They're
a
like, you're pretty good at this. Do you want to come out to this big event,
Right.
this big charity event with Kyler Murray?
That's how it went.
you're like,
and I actually
"Sign
didn't believe
me
in
up."
There's
yes.
2 mics. So where did the mics go? Where there's one that's
So that
gold.
gold one is my mic that I bought during COVID, actually. So I was
Okay.
streaming myself on YouTube.
Oh,
and
nice.
While also speaking into the other microphone, which was
Okay.
the PA
There's
announcer.
Look at Kyler Murray.
So yeah, they had a lot of
that?
great people there. You had Kyler Murray, Trey McBride, Buda Baker.
Buddha?
James-
Buddha was out there?
Buddha was there.
He's a
love
UW
Buddha.
guy.
I will
Yeah,
say the
that's
coolest part for me, I've done so many events and the crowds aren't so big, but I will tell you when Buddha led off for the white team. So to say Buddha Baker and
There's
then you hear
Buddha.
like thousands of people jump up and start screaming, I got chills. I still get chills thinking about it. I was like, wow, this
look
is
at
so
this.
cool.
Okay, fielder's choice. Yeah,
So,
he's out.
They had a huge first inning. They scored all of their runs in the first inning, and they didn't score again after that, and they won 8-7.
So that's Team
Kyler's
Kyler
team. That's
won
the
it?
white team was Kyler's
Okay.
team, coached
Yeah.
by his father and his
Right.
grandfather.
Yeah.
And the red team was coached by Larry Fitzgerald.
Oh, okay.
And the glove, NBA Hall of Famer Gary Payton. So
I saw a young lady out there. She
Cam
out
Johnson.
in the like right field or something.
yeah, there was. She's a rapper and I guess social media content creator fame named Ruby Rose. She had a lot of people cheering for her, but it was one character in particular who I learned of 2 days before the event because my 17-year-old son said, "Oh my gosh, you get to announce Phase Adapt." I go, "Oh my gosh, who is
Phase
Phase Adapt?"
Yeah, really.
He goes,
Who's that?
He's the guy who started the FaZe clan. So they're this hugely popular group of gamers.
Oh, on YouTube, right?
He's born and raised in Phoenix. So if he's watching, Alexander Hamilton Pinkovich, I believe is how you say his last name, goes by FaZe Adapt. He started this FaZe clan. And he was live streaming on Twitch during the game with like 17,000 people watching.
So I wanted to chime in real quick, if I may, and just say that there's a lot of people chatting about you, Jeff. Happy that you're here this morning.
Oh, thank you.
I love Jeff's style. Husky Mom says.
Thanks, Husky Mom.
Louis Gonzalez says, "Good morning, Jeff." And so not only are you hip with your kids, you're hip with the chat.
Well, thank you very much. But I do want to give a big shout out to that Salt River crew. That's Logan, Wally, Eric, Vince, and Michael. They were all up there with the press box, making sure all the audio was great.
Yes.
And they had to do a lot of communicating between downstairs and upstairs, then to tell me, and it was like this. That was
So how did you
huge
call the
thing.
game?
I just sat there to
Did you
they
get
gave me a
kind
list.
of a Ben Scully feel to it, or
I
more
just-
like a Harry Carey? What was your approach?
I was just shoot straight, and then I usually do a lot of ad lib. I'll just add fun stuff where I can and if I can. And I kind of looked over at Logan. I was like, "How long's my leash here today?" And he's like, "Bro,
well,
at this point, whatever." And so I did my best to try to slide in a few lines. I've always been a big T.O. guy, and he said one of my most favorite lines ever, and I was able to finally squeeze it in.
Nice.
And I go, he gave us one of the greatest quotes of all time, folks. "I love me some me." And I go, T.O. Terrell Owens, and then I announced his name.
you
Well,
able
that's
to-
Jeff Hillerman, and he's been amazing, both as a producer and now as a star of the streaming show, Celeste.
were you able to meet any of those?
Unfortunately, no. It was they all came through the big center field wall, and I was up in the press box getting ready
they
the whole
big
time.
timed you?
So
I'm betting next year that
Richard
they're
Signs got to be a lot closer than I did.
Oh, nice.
yeah.
I'm betting next year we'll see an even bigger turnout because with that kind of celebrity
Yes.
lineup,
Yeah.
Jeff, thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Good to see you,
ya.
buddy.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Celeste, let's talk just a little bit more about this whole road situation in
Yes.
the valley. There
Okay.
goes Jeff, as
That's
a
the
matter of
hot
fact.
walk.
Yeah.
Hot walk.
There's a couple out in Surprise who
Yes.
there have been so many accidents on their street with their house being hit
Yes, it's
by
crazy.
vehicles, they have had to take matters into their own hands. Check this out.
They've crashed into that park. They've taken out the playground equipment. They've taken out those transformers right there and
Twice.
taken out the power to this whole side of the subdivision. This road's just
There could
poorly
be somebody
engineered.
walking on the sidewalk or riding a bike. My daughter's come back here and I told her, I'm like, don't do it because you don't know if somebody's not going to make the turn, the curve.
They even said that they don't feel comfortable sleeping in their own bedroom because of where the house is situated, and apparently there's just a big curve right there.
Can you imagine, Ron,
Well,
not being able to sleep in your own bedroom?
They put the sign up, and basically they said, "City is surprised. When are you going to take action?" We actually reached out over the weekend, but now that every bit is in the office, we hope to hear back. But it did bring up an interesting point, Celeste.
Yes.
We grow so fast here in the valley. There are areas where roads should be improved. Have you thought at all about any areas in town where you're like, oh, you know what, they could do better?
I just think there's a lot of roads around town that need to be repaved, like re-asphalted.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Because
Remember, it was National Asphalt Day just the other day, Celeste. Good for you, bringing it up again.
Because they just did McDowell Road in the central part of town, and it's so much smoother. And I think it's really important as before we get into monsoon season,
Right.
to have get rid of all the potholes and you know what I mean. Just make it like smooth so that our tire, you know, we have situations on our tires and things like that. Ron, real quick, Michelle Whitman, and Mason.
Yeah.
I think Michael too.
Yeah.
Big fans of the show.
Oh, nice.
And they're big fans in the chat box.
Okay.
And Michelle was the young woman. Do you remember I spoke with her? She's a big viewer on the show.
Yeah.
So she's watching this one.
Oh,
so
good.
Michelle, good morning. It's so good to see you. If you want to see the video, it's on my Instagram at Celeste Fox 10. But we love all of you. So thank you for hanging with us.
Michelle, if you want to chat, if you have a road that you think needs to be fixed, and if you guys want to just join us in the chat box,
So
is there
true.
a highway here in Arizona needs to be improved? For me, Celeste, it's Ellsworth Road.
Okay. Oh, that's a good one.
Oh,
That's a good one.
No, it's bad. It's really bad.
What I mean is, it's,
Oh, by
it's,
good,
it's good.
bad. I got you. Okay, I can decipher.
It's like the kids when they say it's bad. When you're a baddie, Ron, when you're a baddie, it means you're hot.
Oh,
Did
is
you know
that-
that? Like,
Really?
hey, yeah, I'm sitting next to this baddie.
Yeah.
That means that you're hot.
We
Like,
bring Celeste on for some of the slang translation here on the streaming show.
only the clean ones.
But seriously, you have Ellsworth Road, which is already way too clogged for the tens of thousands of people from Queen Creek.
Yes.
They head north.
Yes.
You have Eastmark, where you have to go through a light, and then you head south. So you have 4 lanes right there. And then you have the 24, which is 2 more lanes. And it all, you're not going to believe this, it all squeezes down to 1 lane on that freeway. And almost
my
on an everyday
goodness.
basis, just trying to get on the 202 it's just a joke.
It is, and it takes a long time. They need to widen that road.
I think so, Celeste. At least give us 2 lanes to get from the 24 onto the 202. I live out that way.
I hear we should have ADOT on here.
Yeah.
This week and talk about their big plan. I think their plan is to eventually expand even another freeway down towards Levine.
Yeah.
And pull it around down
that's right.
behind South Mountain.
And there's another one that they're going to build that's going to start in Apache Junction.
Yes.
And it's going to go all the way to Eloy.
Uh-huh.
So that you don't have to take the 10, which is kind of dangerous.
Is that going to be the 404? And then are we going to have the 505? Because we
maybe.
got the 101, the 202, the 303.
Yeah. But I will say this. If you're just driving along and you're like, you know what? I got the munchies. I'm going to hit a drive-through. If you hit McDonald's and you say to yourself, I have a headache, so I need to go to McDonald's. Some people might think you're crazy, but other people, Celeste, swear by it. This was your story this morning.
It was my story of the day, which is at 6:45 in the morning every morning. And the idea was somebody said they had a migraine.
Okay.
And they went to McDonald's, grabbed some French fries and a soda.
Yeah.
And it went away.
Really? Simple as that?
And I thought, this is kind of a crazy idea.
Okay.
But
by the way, we're inviting Anita to come on in here.
Hello, Anita.
Because she was part of the chat as well this morning. So they say at McDonald's, at least for them, it cured their headache.
It cured their headache. And I thought, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But it reminded me, because sometimes I'll get a migraine, and I had one stubborn one that stuck around for a couple of days.
Right.
And if you have a solution in the chat box, let us know.
Okay.
But I went to Chipotle, got some extra salty tortilla chips.
Okay.
And I just was eating them because I was hungry.
Right.
And I love chips.
What happened?
The migraine went away. And I think it was all the salt and the sodium in the chips. So maybe it's the salt in the French fries.
Oh, no, it's the chips. It's got to be the chips, right?
Well, I was going to say, I wonder if McDonald's fries are saltier than other.
Maybe.
And that's why the TikTokers are going with McDonald's specifically versus other fast food. I mean, McDonald's has amazing fries. So I will say the caffeine trick works.
Yeah,
because
the caffeine is big.
My husband also gets really bad headaches and called me once, and I said, slam a cup of coffee if you can.
And it worked?
And he laid back down, laid down, and it got up an hour later, and it was gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love stories like
that.
that.
So sometimes something like that dramatic will work.
Hey, by the way,
we
got a break coming up. Tell us what you guys are brewing.
It is International Plant Something Day. So we have an expert in. He's going to show us a couple of different tips and tricks, and we're just going to talk about some fun stuff.
All right. Anita, real quick. Keisha, thank you for watching. First-time watcher of the show, and I will be back again, she said. Keisha M. Jones.
Keisha, stick around. We still have half an hour.
Got a lot of new viewers for you guys. They're coming up on YouTube after the break.
All right, welcome back. We still got music going.
It's dramatic.
There we go.
It's that Monday moody music. Good morning, everyone. Fox and Talks with Ty and Anita.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a good weekend?
Busy.
Busy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a weekend to first. This was the first weekend that I jumped in the pool finally. It was still a little chilly. It was like in the mid to upper 70s, the pool water. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. It needs to be cleaned. And the best way to do it is from inside the pool. That's what I found.
Because you don't have a pool vacuum.
No.
We have a
those
different setup.
Those like in ground, I don't even know what they're called.
And you said they don't work as well.
Not as great as they told us that they would be working.
I got in the pool. I did laps last Friday, because it was just 2 weeks ago then. It was too hot to walk. I have to do my weekly or my evening something. And so I don't know if it gave me a cold or if I have allergies. I think it's allergies. I'm fine. But Saturday and Sunday, I was just kind of down. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's a real downer for a weekend.
No, but you know what, though? It forced me to just read.
Chill out,
just chill out.
We should mention that we've got these cool sculpture-y things going on here because today's National Plant Something Day. We're going to get to that.
International Plant Something Day, yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that in just a few minutes. The other thing, I spent the whole day yesterday in the yard.
This is fun.
And I didn't think that all these people would be asking me about this because I posted it on Instagram. So we have the gravel around the border of the yard.
When you say gravel, you're talking about
It's
little
that
sand almost.
like that pea gravel.
That's what we have too.
Like the really small gravel. And then there's a small little border made of brick. And then we have the turf. But the two dogs, Stu and Myrtle, kind of frolic around in the rocks. And then it throws all the rocks into the turf. And me, having self-diagnosed myself with OCD, I hate that those
I've diagnosed you with OCD as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have. It drives me insane that there's the little rocks in the turf. So I spend hours trying to get those stupid little rocks out of the turf. So I saw somebody on TikTok or Instagram or something like that. They had the stuff you can buy, and you can glue the rocks down in your.
You glued rocks this weekend.
I glued rocks.
We're getting some fun. Kim Winnett says, "Good morning, Ty and Anita. I really love Frankie D. Good AM TNA." Michelle says that she loves the energy with the current morning team. So fun, lighthearted, refreshing. Thank you. We love it too. Kim went swimming as well. She said, chilly but amazing in Scottsdale. And I think we have veggie burger recipes coming as well.
Oh, I can't wait to try that.
Yeah. Back to swimming. I have a question for you folks. If you are swimming, if you're getting in the pool, do you like the water when it's a little cooler?
I got to check to see what the temperature is.
Or a little warmer, because I feel like if it's too warm, then it's almost like bath water. Yeah. The cooler water keeps you moving, because I like to swim laps.
Do you have a chiller on? Because now you can buy a chiller or a heater.
We don't have a chiller. We have the little water...
Oh, aerator thingies that they say cools your water down. I don't know if that's true.
I don't either.
But all right.
I don't either. It's just a touch a little. I
Cooler?
could use a few degrees warmer, but it was okay.
All right. And then I've heard people buy those ice blocks if they're having a big summer pool party. Throw it in there.
Yes.
Cool it down a little bit.
Yeah. Depends on how warm it's getting though. Okay.
Oh, look. Nick says, at 11, we get Ty and Anita and have
vegetarian.
The TNA burger.
Ty, get yourself a battery droid. It works great to clean the pool. My droid named Johnny Depp, I love that, has cleaned the pool today, and my pups are ready for the swimmies.
There you go.
I love that.
And Husky Mama says, oh my gosh, Ty, they do that in the 55 plus parks. Listen, I'm right there with them.
But tell everyone what you do, how you anchor yourself to the bottom of the pool.
Oh, when I clean the pool? Anita thought this was crazy. I use a barbell.
One that you've had since college.
That I've dragged around with me.
You told me you have moved with it and you take it with you everywhere you go.
So I hold the barbell at the bottom of the pool so it keeps me down there, and then I manually scrub the bottom of the pool.
I like that.
And then let go.
And then you go back. We're worried about you. We're going to need video.
That's fine.
Kim Winnett, this is an excellent point, Kim. She says she likes it super cold all year because it helps with inflammation.
yeah.
I will say the other day I was overheating. I felt a little bit, and I got in that cool water, and I do it all year round. It does help.
A little cool
I
plunge?
feel better.
A
I
little
feel
cool
better.
plunge? I like that.
Mr. Paul Valine says Canyon Lake is fun this time of year.
Oh, then and Nick is saying we have the burgers now at Inferno Burgers.
Oh.
We got to try. Wait,
Well,
Nick,
why don't
where
we have
is-
you guys in?
Yeah.
Message DM
where,
us
Where
on our
is
Instagram.
Inferno Burgers? We need to try these, don't
I
we?
could go for a good veggie burger.
Did you do any planting this weekend?
No,
any
but
yard work besides me doing it all?
No.
I'm trying to do a segue for
I
next.
know,
Oh,
but I was looking at my one plant, Peter, who I got some food for him after like 4 years. He's thriving.
you have a plant named Peter?
Yes.
Peter the plant?
Peter the plant.
What kind of plant
He's
is
a
he?
mother-in-law tongue.
Oh, yeah,
There's
yeah, yeah.
another name for it.
Sansevieria? Yeah.
Okay.
Look. We got an expert.
Roll that
Okay.
beautiful plant footage.
video.
Yes.
We all love house plants around here. And there is a great plant store here in the valley. I've been there many times as a customer and just to go browse. It's kind of like
It's
a little
nice,
destination.
right?
Yeah.
I feel like it lifts your mood, kind of like candle shopping.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, doesn't it? When you walk amongst the beautiful plants, you feel alive.
You do. So
long
we
as they
have
are.
Tim here.
Hi.
Did you say as long as they are real? Yeah, they got to be
I said
real,
as long
right,
as
Tim?
they're real- are alive, yeah. Oh,
Tim, we
yeah.
can't see you because your props you brought here. Hold on. I'm going to hide your. I don't want to. There.
It's
There's
like you
Tim.
have antlers coming out of your head.
Tim, you are one of the owners of Jungle Box. Great spot. Tell us a little bit about the store.
So Jungle Box started really from like building terrariums at a different plant store I used to own years ago, and people kind of would ask me to describe what a vivarium or terrarium was, and it was like it's like a jungle like in a glass box, and so that's how Jungle Box started. So
Is a vivarium the same thing as a terrarium?
It is, but usually a vivarium is a replicated ecosystem. So, for example, if there's like the tiger exhibit at the zoo is considered a vivarium.
Gotcha.
So we have like dart frogs and stuff at the store
Come
as well.
closer to the mic for us. There you go. Perfect.
Yeah. So we specialize in houseplants, tropicals, and very niche terrarium plant market for those of you who want to. You know, a lot of people want a little bit of green, but they don't have the space, or they have an apartment and they want something just kind of cool and easy, or they don't have a green thumb. You know, we help green it up.
Well, that's why I like going to kind of these small mom and pop shops, because you guys are there because you don't want people to kill their plants, because then they stop coming. That's kind of your business model.
Yeah, we want you to be successful.
And that's why I like this, because you guys really give some great tips and tricks to folks before they head home with the plant to make sure that they are the best plant parent that they can be, right?
That's right. We try.
Everyone at home, if you're watching and have any questions for Tim about how to keep any of these plants alive or put one of these together, let us know, because we'd love to share that. We do have someone, and I saw it. I have to go back to the swimming thing and ask. Jen Wall says, my dad would give one of us kids $5 to swim down and scrub the back of the pool every single day. You have a pool, Tim?
No, but used to.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember those days.
Yeah, there are some days I'm like, why did I buy this pool? Because the house didn't have one.
We had the scrub brush we had to do.
Yeah.
We have a scrub brush.
I don't feel like the scrub. You have to get in there.
Just wondering. I had to ask because I thought that was such a funny comment. And Husky Mom says, you need scuba gear.
I do need to. Can you imagine me with
a barbell?
With a barbell. We're down there trying to scrub my plants. I'm talking about the plants. Scrub my pool. Let's get back to plants, though, because let's talk about kind of owning a small business here in the Valley. What has that been like?
It's eye-opening. I've done it twice. I did a different plant store with a business partner years ago, and did this one on my own. And it's rewarding, but it is a ton of work that most people don't really, I think, understand.
Yeah.
May is a Small Business Month, which is so great because so many small businesses are celebrated. But it's also that advice that you can offer to people who may be thinking about taking their small business to the next level or starting a small business.
Yeah. I think the biggest takeaway for me is that you have to like business. You can't just like baking cakes and open a bakery. Like, you have to like managing employees. You have to like the day-to-day in and out of that person calling off or being sick. You have to like the entrepreneurship, not just like, I want to go bake cakes all day, because that you will stop doing that and you will start managing people. Because if you want to grow, that's the only way you can. You can't be the sole person doing those things. And that was the biggest thing I learned with the first concept was, you're by yourself and you're trying to do, well, what happens if you run out of something? Well, you got to close your shop and you can't, you have to have support, but you're also very vulnerable as an owner when you're relying on other people to show up.
A couple people asking, Kim says, I have such a brown thumb, I can't even keep a succulent alive. What's the trick?
Okay, so that is a great statement, and everybody says that. So succulents, people try to put inside, and they're probably the hardest thing to put inside. There is a difference between heat and sunlight, right? So succulents love to be in San Diego, don't we all, right? But at about 90 degrees or 95 degrees, they will fall apart outside a lot of the times. People put them inside and there's not enough light. So they stretch out looking for light. They get overwatered easily, and they rot. So they're the worst plant you could try to get. You don't have a brown thumb. You just don't have the right plant.
See, that's a succulent is what exactly?
Well, a succulent is a generally what you might call a xerophyte, which is a low water use plant. They store water in their tissue, but there's just a huge family of them, right?
Okay.
From some that like it in cooler climates to some that can take it, like, a saguaro cactus is technically a succulent.
Yeah. Okay.
I like succulents, but they are probably the hardest plant.
See, I would think they're easy because they don't need a lot of water.
But it's the light. It's the light inside. You can't give it enough light probably unless it's in a really bright window, and then they just don't love it.
Peter's right in between the window and the French doors.
Also, I feel like the Sansevieria, the mother-in-law tongue, you can put that anywhere, right? And it grows in the dark.
For a while, I was very concerned about Peter.
They're pretty forgiving, that's for sure.
We'll continue to talk about Peter.
Poor Peter.
Poor
Nick
Peter.
Nick says, I can't grow plants, but I can cook them. Sherry Nevada Pup says, I have to keep my houseplants in the bathroom with the door closed because one of my I assume cats would destroy them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
Mm-hmm. We had a dog, and his tail would always hit the plant and just knock the leaves off.
He didn't mean it.
No, he didn't. But that's the thing. You got to, where in your house you put the plant also really kind of
makes a huge difference.
Right?
Most houseplants especially really want at least medium to bright light. When we say medium to bright light, we're close to window with a screen, right? But in Arizona, right, we're in the summertime, we're all like,
dropping the
shades. Dropping the shades, and so it's kind of like that. How do you keep it well enough lit without getting all the heat?
Okay, Kim says, "Oh my God!" Everyone says, "Get a succulent if you are bad with water."
No, it's not
Kim.
true.
No, Kim. Tim says no.
Fake news, Kim.
So what should Kim get if she's got a brown
Kim should
thumb?
probably start with like a ZZ plant or a Sansevieria like you have, like a mother-in-law's tongue. They come in different shapes and sizes. A ZZ plant can take very low amounts of water, low light, easy to forget about,
So I left Peter outside during the frost.
Jeez.
I know. But he came back to life, though.
You're a horrible plant mom.
I didn't mean it.
Hold on. We have a ZZ plant that has been sitting in the atrium here at work for years. I'm going to grab it.
welcome back, everyone. We sent Ty to the atrium to get
Yeah,
the
he's been gone for a
plant,
minute.
but he's been gone for a really long time. Even though, here he comes, the atrium's right next door. Who is this?
I don't know.
Nailed it. not Peter, hopefully.
This is the plant that has been
That's
sitting
Peter's
at our
brother.
station since I
Paul.
started here.
It's Paul.
And I don't know.
We just named him.
I don't. My tie's in there. But this poor guy seen better days. But this is a ZZ plant.
Yes.
And it's been
What's
neglected.
a ZZ plant?
Right here. This is it.
That's what it.
Like the letter ZZ.
ZZ, yeah.
I've never heard of that.
It's just like kind of a.
Okay.
Do you think this
nickname.
has? Do you think
Does
this
it
can
have?
come
Is
back?
there any hope?
Tim, if we give this
there's
to you.
hope. Yeah, there's hope. Look at the new growth right there. It says,
You're right.
It says, "Hey, I'm doing it."
I bet someone is secretly watering that plant.
I think.
I'm also very concerned it's going to fall off your lap and crack.
What is it going to do? It's already damaged enough. Put this poor guy down. Just look, it's decoration on our set now.
See, there you go.
Looks great.
It's
there.
so
See?
brown. It's so brown.
Already.
So the wall behind us is green. So what you guys can't see is this right here is a very, very bright green, but it keys out. That plant, however, Paul, is already brown, so he's not even keying out.
So it looks great.
If you have a plant like that at home, Paul, not your
Yes.
pretty ones, how do you bring it back to life?
Well, you probably got to give it a good fertilizing. There's a set amount of nutrients in a pot, right? And so every time we water, we flush nutrients out, and plants
didn't
absorb
realize
them.
that.
So then, how does it go back in there without having a natural process?
Because
right?
when they're outside,
Yeah.
Okay, so Peter, I'm just going to go back to Peter.
Poor Peter.
I know. I didn't repot Peter. I took the pot that he came in and put it in a pretty pot.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Most of the time, people overpot their plants. It's better to be on a regular fertilizing program than to repot something, because then you risk overwatering, right? You've got a set amount of root structure with too much wet soil around it.
And then that's when you run into issues.
That's when you run into issues.
Michael is saying that he uses UVB and UVA light on the succulents to give them enough light, and they have thrived ever since.
Yeah,
And
you absolutely can do that.
Someone else is asking about coffee grounds, because I know at Starbucks sometimes they have those like buckets. What exactly is that used for, and does it
kind of
help?
a placebo effect. You'd
Okay.
have to use. I mean, the idea is that coffee is acidic, right? In Arizona, our water is slightly alkaline, especially if it's from the tap. That's another big thing. Is any kind of tropical plant does not want anything to do with our tap water here.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
bottled water for tropical plants, if you can, inside,
Okay.
is key, because you'll get salt damage, chlorine damage, fluoride damage, all kinds
See,
of stuff.
all these
on
things
the
you
edge
don't
of it.
even realize.
And so
right?
every plant is different. So Paul, for example, would not need the salt water, or
Well, we just want to give it like more like a reverse osmosis, like the water you get from like the water store or bottled water. They're going to be the best thing
how'd you
to
get
do.
into all this and learn all about it?
I'm not sure if you guys remember Baker Nursery, but it was a 40-year-old nursery at 40th Street in Osborne in
No.
Phoenix for a long time. And so I went to Arcadia High School, and it was my very first job.
Really?
And I've always loved the way plants kind of inform human environments. You know, what would New York be without Central Park, right? So
Yeah.
we need that green space. We need those green things in our life. And
How cool.
kind of fell into it, and always have gone back to it.
Yeah. And let's talk about your.
Oh, no. Okay, I'm sorry. This comment is coming from a gentleman named Jared Dillingham, who says someone in my house put succulents straight to the water. How do you rate this person's idea?
10 out of 10.
I think 10 out of 10. Yeah.
It's going to do great. It's going to be fantastic.
Is it going to live?
It's going to thrive. It'll probably rot, to be honest. But
Sorry,
we'll see what
Jared.
happens. Sorry,
I don't
Jared.
think that was a good idea. Is where
man.
how we're summing this up.
Let's talk about your shop, though, because it is so cool. And you guys,
you.
every time you go in there's something new. And let's
That's
talk
me.
about your, what do you call it? It's like a jungle. It literally is like a jungle
Well,
that
it's
you
a
have
jungle
built.
box.
Yeah,
But
it's-
there's
it's
an
like a
actual,
walkthrough.
there's
There
a
is.
walk-through jungle.
Like a walk-through, like a walk-through terrarium kind of.
Yeah.
Like we've got like a mini greenhouse, if you will, with like, a lot of the plants you see commercially are not how they grow in the wild. And so that's kind of one of the things we wanted to show people, is that, the hanging pothos that you got at the store really wants to grow up. It doesn't want to trail down. And so commercially, like all these plants are grown in a way that makes it
How
look,
neat.
interesting in the store, but that's not really how they grow in real life.
So that you kind of exemplify that in your greenhouse.
Yeah, we try to show people that this is what it looks like when
People love that, though. Like, I've been there, and people like stand in line to go through there to take their like selfies. And it's cool.
Well, I think that one of the things that's made us successful is, in any business, the other advice I would give is people want an experience. Anybody can set up a plant store, but
Excellent idea.
does it give you a reason to want to come back? And I think that for me, when I hear people walk through and go, oh my gosh, this place is so cool. Like, I don't even really care if people know I'm the owner when I'm there. In fact, I prefer that they don't.
You're like, I'll let him know.
But the sense of wonder that it creates in people is really what kind of like makes me feel good about the business, is that it gets your mind going. Like,
you have classes?
We do.
Classes are, I want to sign up for so many of them.
I know, amazing.
Yeah, we have Shanta is our store manager, and she's amazing. She does a lot of the classes. We have air plant terrarium workshops. We have what we call the bamboo room, which is a little rentable space if you wanted to have like a private party or have people like come in and do like a team building thing. You can. We do have a BYOB license.
Oh, that's
so you
cool.
You can. We have to serve it to you, but you can actually bring in liquor, beer, and wine, and reserve the space.
Jen Walls is asking where you're located.
We are on 17th Street in McDowell, 1735 East McDowell Road.
Website?
JungleboxAZ.com.
Instagram?
JungleboxAZ.
What else? Social security number, Tim?
60. Oh, wait.
But this is kind of one example because you brought something. This is kind of something that you guys do in the classes, right?
Yeah. So these are kind of this is a cholla skeleton that we kind of turn into air plant sculptures.
Oh, I see. I didn't realize the difference.
Yeah. So we can glue the little air plants on here.
Let me move these closer to you, and then you can kind of show us, if you don't mind, kind of what
How
you would do
glue,
about it.
since you like to put succulents in water.
Oh, is that who he was referring to? I had no idea.
It was being called out.
All right, so we're going to put a rubber band around this to kind of give us something to hold this in place.
Okay.
So Ty, kind of figure out an area down here where you might like that. And
now
this
is the other thing. You have so many different sizes.
Will these live in there?
Yeah. So this needs bright light. Like they can take some really direct sunlight inside, and they like to be misted several times a week. You know.
So you just missed a little succulent. That's it.
Missed these are actually called Tillandsia or air
Now
plants.
where do I put the rubber band? Oh, put it right
between,
over it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then so the rubber band is going to hold it in place.
Ty, see if you can put the camera on you.
Oh, hold on. Yeah. Let's see.
Better?
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Bit.
Let's move it.
Here.
This
you got it?
Yeah. Sorry. So we can get it.
Do you
kind
want me
of
to hold it up while you guys do that? Oh.
We're just
teamwork.
Teamwork. Okay.
Teamwork. Okay. Go.
Now I'm gonna put it.
Okay. So we're gonna.
You're doing good, Anita.
We're gonna sandwich that there, and then we would just take some glue. E6000 was what we use in the classes, and then we would just kind of put the glue behind the air plant, and then the next day you can take the rubber bands off, and you've got like a little sculpture.
Oh, that's cool.
How fun.
Yeah, and then you just literally mist them.
Yep, you just mist them like three times a week, 3 to 4 times a week. Really heavy misting.
Okay.
You know, and we have these basically are meant to kind of put into a decorative pot. So this is just a plastic nursery pot, so you can put something that fits your own aesthetic.
Would you take it out of the plastic pot or just put it right into?
You just take it's kind of glued into the plastic pot with some weight to it. Yep, and so you just kind of set it into your favorite your cachet pot, and yeah.
And then talk about some of the other classes you have, because you mentioned you guys have those little dart frogs.
Yep, we do
whole terrariums and cool things for these dart frogs.
Yeah, we have a basic 101 terrarium workshop, which is anything from like your glass cookie jar to a terrarium that might hold a critter, if you will.
Yeah.
And then we have an advanced class that we'd show you how to kind of like glue in the backgrounds and make things a little bit more natural looking. We have air plant terrarium classes. We have kokedama classes, which is where you kind of wrap the root ball in moss and twine, and so it kind of hangs.
Pretty.
So yeah, we've got all kinds of cool stuff, and we can't try to keep it fresh and new. So we always have a different stuff going on for sure.
So Jen Wells says she uses E6000.
Yep, that's right.
On everything.
On everything.
Yeah, it's great.
So you can use this on plants. It's plant safe.
Yep.
I've never even heard of E6000.
It dries clear. It's flexible, washable, though. All that good stuff. Yeah.
All right. Good to know.
We also do a boozy bingo once a month, which you can check out online. So Shanta hosts a bingo where you can. We do like plant-based bingo with cocktails and snacks and stuff like that, and it's been a hit. It's fun.
Do you have a favorite plant or favorite? I know it's like asking someone if they have a favorite dog or child.
I don't really. I don't. I can't. I wish I could say I do.
Does it change?
But people ask me how many plants I have at my house.
Oh yeah, how many?
0.
75.
Really?
What?
I don't have any plants at my house.
Why?
I have a landscaped
Not even
yard.
A Peter?
I don't have a Peter.
Wait,
I
so
take
hold
care
on.
of plants all day long. The last thing I want to do is come home to my own house and water plants.
Do people find that shocking that you're like, hey, come on over to my house, and then they're like, hey, there's not a single plant in here, and you own a plant store?
Well, because
do you have a studio at your house, and you set up on the
but
microphone at night at 10
say,
p.m. and be like,
but
hey,
that's
let's
like
do a podcast?
Touche.
But how much news do we watch?
Well, that's
when
true.
we're
I
not
watch
here?
a lot of. I watch
We watch
the
a
news.
lot
Is
of
on.
news.
That's true.
See?
But I have to stay abreast to plant culture. You have to stay abreast of the news. Like,
There
but
you
that
go.
doesn't mean that I want to go home and take care of it.
Okay,
That's
so
funny.
if you were to take a plant home, what would you take home?
I really do like the terrariums, all the little tropical, like niche stuff that goes into. I like to fiddle with that stuff, you know.
All right.
Yeah.
How do folks find? And these classes are, you have them quite often, right?
Yeah, we do. Checking online is the best way when we post a new class.
Okay.
We usually put it on Instagram, and then we do have a website where you can go and book through some of that. And sometimes there's not as many classes on there as we figure out the schedule and whatnot, but then sometimes there'll be more. So just kind of checking the website from time to time is
And
the
they
best thing to do.
change as the seasons change.
Yeah,
And
yeah, and then availability too. Like we try to like ramp up a little bit more classes in the summertime when people seem to have more time. The kids need something to do.
And also, it's so hot, you don't want to be outside.
Right.
You don't want to be gardening outside, but if you still want to do some quote unquote gardening, you can still do it in the comfort of your home.
That's right.
In the AC.
Do you carry more, I guess, local, regional plants?
We do it all. So I actually have we have an offsite greenhouse that we grow some of our own stuff in and bring in when we need to. We do order commercial stuff from greenhouses from Florida all the way to California. There's not a lot of local places that grow tropicals that we can purchase from, so we do try to do it as much of our own as we can.
Where do you get the tropicals? Because I mean, these obviously have to start somewhere. So how do they come to you, or is it just?
Well, we have vendors that we work with, and they get either shipped. A lot of the stuff we get, if it's from Florida, it gets shipped in a box on a plane. We have to have a license and a permit to do that with the ag department, and it has to get inspected at the airport and pick it up. California is a little bit more lax. We can go there and kind of pick stuff out. We also have just relationships that I've built over the years where we can call up someone and say, hey, we're looking for this. Can you
just
help us
driving across state lines.
Yeah.
How do you know, kind of like, do you kind of, after doing this for so many years, know what kind of plants sell well and kind of stock more of those? Because like I feel like the logistics of owning a plant store would be pretty difficult.
It can be. We learned a lot. COVID is actually when we started, and while I hate to say it, everybody kind of like latched on to plants as a hobby during COVID. So we got kind of our boost that way. There was a lot of clamoring for the rare exotics.
Yeah.
Now I think it's more of our niche is really kind of like smaller plants, to be honest. Like you can't really go to like a Home Depot or a box store and find like a 2-inch plant, if you will. But a lot of people, especially the target market that seem to be our customers, they're living in apartments. They don't have a big house and a big yard. So they've got windowsills and they've got smaller places. So to have a small plant and to watch it thrive and grow, I think is also rewarding for people.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's kind of what we've found that is popular.
Ty and I used to have a plant named Simon.
Here we go again.
Oh, we have Simon, Peter, and Paul now.
Simon was a bamboo plant. And Simon, after many years, did not survive, unfortunately. But every time we have a plant guy in, I think that Ty's going to surprise me and bring me a new bamboo plant. And he doesn't.
You know what? He brought you a ZZ plant.
Put this on your desk. This is your new plant right here,
rescue.
Anita. We got about 30 seconds left, Tim. Give us your socials, address one more time so everybody knows where you're at.
Okay, we're at 1735 East McDowell Road. We're between the 51 and 16th Street on McDowell. We're jungleboxaz.com and jungleboxaz on Instagram.
All right.
You got to go check it out because the little
come in,
indoor atrium, or whatever you call it.
We've got 4,000 square feet of
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.